As we celebrate the Foundation Day for NCTE, we have heard Professor Pankaj Arora telling us the history of NCTE and how it grew as an organization and contributed to strengthening teacher education in our country. My congratulations to all the officers in NCTE for their deep commitment to make sure that the teacher education in our country reaches to the next level. If you turn the clock by 10 years, in 2015, for example, if you went to the colleges, schools, and if you try to hear the conversations of the teachers, students, principals, vice-chancellors, you would not have heard terms like multi-entry, multi-exit, academic bank of credits, multidisciplinarity, introducing skill education, experiential learning, giving importance to Indian languages, integrating Indian knowledge systems as part of our school and higher education system. You would not have heard these terms. But today, in 2025, during last 5 years, after the launching of the NEP 2020, there has been so much of progress, visible, measurable progress in implementing NEP 2020, that today none of you would ask, why do we need multi-entry, multi-exit? Why do we need multidisciplinarity in our education system? Why should we integrate Indian knowledge systems? These have become now common terms. All of us understand the importance of this. Today, our major objective is how do we scale up the reforms in the school education and also in higher education. NCTE is a very unique organization. The programs designed by NCTE, such as BED and MED, the people who do these programs after BED, they go to the school education and teach the school kids. So there is a connection to the school education here. But those who do MED and above, they work in these teacher education institutions, which is the higher education vertical, and teach these students. So NCTE is contributing both to the school education and also the higher education. Unlike the other regulators such as UGC and AICTE, who focus only on higher education. There are three major organizations, as you know. UGC covers almost 80% of the students out of 4.5 crore students in higher education. And then you have AICTE, which covers the professional education. And NCTE covers the teacher education. And the remaining, about 15% of the education is regulated by a number of councils and other regulators, such as the Council of Architecture, the Pharmacy Council, and many other councils regulate the education of those 15 to 20% of the students in higher education. But you also know that in a large number of higher educational institutions, you may find the same institution offering courses in teacher education, in professional education, and in general education. And imagine the situation for this educational institution. And there are a large number of such institutions in our country. They have to go to NCTE, they have to go to UGC, they have to go to AICTE for many things, because these organizations basically perform three things. One, regulation of education. Two, approvals. Three, fixing the standards of education. Now, if an educational institution has to go to these multiple organizations for approvals, for regulation, and so on, imagine the kind of difficulties they can face, the kind of delays they can face. And in addition to this, these three organizations, there is no coordination among them. Each organization brings its own regulation. There is diversity, there are differences. And in the same educational institution, when there are three different regulations that are being operated from three different organizations, it can create confusion, it can create a lot of difficulties to the faculty members and also to the educational institutions. And that's the reason why the National Education Policy has advocated the establishment of a single regulator in our country. And that is called the Higher Education Commission of India. The Higher Education Commission of India, the primary objective is to provide a single window of operation for all the educational institutions so that they don't have to go to multiple regulators. They don't have to face difficulties because of the non-convergence, non-alignment of regulations among these regulators. And as you know, Government of India is working on establishing the Higher Education Commission of India. I wanted to tell about this because UGC, AICTE, and NCTE will become part of this Higher Education Commission of India. HECI is going to have three verticals: the regulatory vertical, the National Higher Education Regulatory Council. It will have an accreditation vertical, the National Higher Education Accreditation Council. And then it will also have a standard setting council, the National Higher Education Standards Council. Now, when these three organizations come together, when HECI is established, these three operations of these regulators will go into these verticals. For example, the regulatory aspects of UGC, AICTE, and NCTE will come under NHERC, Regulatory Council. And then we have NBA for program accreditation. We have NAC, which is the Inter-University Center of UGC, which accredits the universities. So all the accreditation activities will come under the National Higher Education Accreditation Council. And under the third council, the Standards Council, the standard setting operations of NCTE, AICTE, and UGC will be placed there. So once HECI is established, therefore, the UGC Act, AICTE Act, and NCTE Act will be repealed. So the government is already working on a transition plan, as it was informed in the parliament. And once HECI comes, it will bring alignment and coherence in terms of regulation, approval process, and also standard setting. And the main objective of HECI is to bring regulations which are light but tight, so that the institutions will have autonomy to decide their own path of evolution along with accountability. That is the primary objective of HECI. So since NCTE and UGC, AICTE are major institutions in terms of setting the standards and regulation, and today is the foundation day, I thought I will also inform you about the plans to establish HECI and how UGC, AICTE, and NCTE will be part of HECI. Having said that, I will take a few minutes to share few thoughts with you. You're all teachers. I have been in the teaching profession for decades, and we know how much we are passionate about teaching. in transforming the lives of our students with whom we interact. I would like to place few ideas before you for your consideration. As a teacher, how important are the following I would like to discuss with you. We want to build jet plane engines in our country. We want to increase our nuclear power capability by 10 times in the coming years. We want to build Sudarshan Chakra, a security system to protect our country, to protect our sovereignty. We want to launch deep ocean missions to find out newer sources of oil and gas. We want to have at least 50% of our total energy coming from renewable energy resources so that our dependency on other countries in importing fuels will be reduced. We want to build semiconductor chips in our country. Who will do all these things? How can we achieve all these things? Only when we become innovative. Only when our students become innovative. So, innovation, when I talk about innovation, it is about adding value to the ideas that you have. That means if you want to be innovative, you need to generate ideas and then add value to these ideas. And how do you generate ideas? Only when you have an imaginative power. You should be able to imagine. And in your imagination, you should be able to connect the dots and see the patterns that others normally cannot see. And that is what is a new idea. And if you want to be able to imagine things, you should critically think about it. You should raise questions like Nachiketa. And when do you raise questions? When I look at something, I raise question only when I am curious about it. So therefore, at the top level, if we want to make our students innovative, the foundation for this innovative nature of our students comes from the curiosity. So as a teacher, therefore, all of us should ensure that the flame of curiosity is always burning in the hearts of our students. You need to create an ecosystem where students are always constantly curious, and then they raise questions like Nachiketa, and then they imagine and generate ideas and add value to that and become innovative. Only then we can do many of the things that we are planning to do. So therefore, as teachers, our role in keeping the flame of curiosity in the minds of our students is very important. The other thing that I would like to put for your consideration is, as Honorable Mantriji was telling, the importance of providing education to our students in our own Indian language medium. NEP has clearly said up to 5th standard it should be in Indian languages, beyond 5th up to 8th, and beyond that preferably in Indian languages. So both in school education and also in higher education, UGC in collaboration with the Bharatiya Bhasha Samiti, we are working on creating textbooks, lakhs of textbooks in 22 Indian languages, so that these books can be made available freely to the students. And we are also encouraging the educational institutions to launch programs in Indian language medium. Some critics may say, no, what will happen to our students' employability opportunities? Anilji would watch for me in an engineering college in Maharashtra. The entire engineering program was offered only in Marathi medium. And by the time they reached the 4th year, nearly 70% of them got jobs in multinational companies because They had problem-solving capabilities. Their analytical reasoning was very strong. They had good communication abilities. So therefore, they were placed. Employment is going to be no problem because it is these learning outcomes on which we focus when we teach the students in Indian languages. And when we emphasize on Indian languages, it doesn't mean that we want to neglect English. English can always be taught as any other foreign language as a communication tool. And there are various studies which have clearly shown that students who have studied in their own mother tongue in their early stage can pick up English very easily at a later stage as a communication tool. So, my dear colleagues, please do participate in writing textbooks, both at the school level and also at the higher education level. We need to write our own books. We need to spread the awareness about the importance of using Indian languages as a medium of instruction, both at the school level and the higher education level. We should get rid of any sense of inferiority associated with learning in Indian languages. One more thing that I would like to tell you is that integration of Indian knowledge systems, both at the school level and also the higher education, is important. And in order to do that, first of all of us as teachers should develop basic understanding of what exactly is Indian knowledge systems. Why should we integrate this as part of our educational system? Most of the time we look to the West thinking that the solutions come from there, whether it is theoretical frameworks or it is products, technology, and so on. We look at the West. We never tell our kids that Indians too are immensely capable. They have contributed in various domains. We don't expose our students about these things. And if you want to build confidence in the minds of the students, they also should know that as a country, we are also a country who can participate in the technological evolution that is taking place across the globe. I'll give you two examples. In social sciences, for example, there are different frameworks such as positivism, post-positivism, pragmatism, realism. These are all philosophical frameworks. We expose our students to them. But we don't tell them that the origins of these philosophical frameworks were in India. We don't tell them. Pragmatism, for example, Buddha's middle path is pragmatism. There are many such parallel theories which have developed in India. Charvaka framework, which is about realism. But we don't expose our students. Today, we are talking about solar energy, renewable energy resources based on solar power. But how many of us we tell our students that it was Jagadesh Chandra Bose who first came up with the photovoltaic effect? That means on a piece of semiconductor, if electromagnetic radiation such as light or microwaves fall, it generates current. And that idea as a foundation led to the development of the solar cell based on PN junctions in 1941. And then now you see the explosion in solar cell-based power generation. But we don't tell our students about the origins that have happened. This is what is Indian knowledge system. One last thing that I would like to tell you is that, my dear friends, the only technology that we have introduced in our classrooms is PPT. Beyond that, we have not introduced. But today, AI has arrived and it has immense potential. As teachers, we must learn to harness the power of AI and improve the pedagogy in the classroom. After the printing press came, books became a norm to spread knowledge. There were critics who said that it will affect the humanity, it will affect our memory, it will affect the way we disseminate knowledge. But today, books have become a norm. AI technology, although there is a hype, there is fear, there are expectations, and there are so many other things that are happening, AI will become a normal technology in our lives. We should not hesitate in using it. But for that to happen, we need to be lifelong learners. How many of you have used Excel sheet? In Excel sheet, many of us, we use it for averaging, for summing, for preparing charts. But we know that Excel sheet can be used beyond that. It can be used as a mini database. It can be used as an automation tool. It can be used as a programming tool. But we don't do that. Similarly, whether it is ChatGPT or AI tools, they have immense potential. We must learn them. Unfortunately, most of us use today ChatGPT as a fancy Google search machine. But ChatGPT, it can become your research assistant. It can provide you a lot of inputs. It can become a computing tool to you. But we don't learn them. So as teachers, we had to learn. And as you know, through AI mission, Government of India is planning to provide AI tools at low cost as a digital public infrastructure to every person, irrespective of the social or economic background. It will reach the last person in our country. If that happens, our students will be learning these AI tools much faster than us as teachers. So therefore, it is a wake-up call for all of us to be lifelong learners and learn these tools and integrate technology as part of our education. And these are some of the things that I wanted to share with you so that we can train our students, we can mentor our students to become innovators and make sure that they participate in the national development and realize that goal of Vikasit Bharat by 2047. Thank you. Thank you very much.